Blog number 68. I would imagine that it's the way you look at it. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time in the world of imagination. In my mind's eye, the imagined path that I was on was so real that I would have to actually alter my course so as to avoid a potential hazard. As in the case of when I would fly a futuristic spacecraft and I'd have to dodge large asteroids, with my arms outstretched while I was running and making really impressively realistic rocket ship sounds. Or at other times, I would find myself safely standing upon a very large rock outcrop in a cave that I had currently been exploring. I would climb, crawl, and shuffle my way into a big underground room, only to discover that between myself and the next passage that I needed to explore lay a massive, or at least a 10-foot wide pool of molten lava. But this was no ordinary blazing hot puddle of liquid fire that would mean a sudden death and painfully scorching death. No, this particular lava pool was also teeming and swirling with girl germs, and the only chance that I had, as the fearless 4-year-old explorer, to gain safe access to the other side was to jump from one rock plateau to another. Although I was faced with a fiery liquid and now this new biohazard, I never lost heart. I knew what challenge awaited me, and I knew what I needed to be done. Never once did I question the seemingly simple things, like why 3,000-degree molten rock would melt anything else that it touched, but it would not seem to have any significant impact on the other rocks that I was jumping on. All I knew was that I could leap from one of those big rocks to the other, and they would keep me safe. Of course, the rocks that I was leaping on were bedroom furniture, and an important role of molten lava was being played by the living room floor, which was covered at that time by a very 1970s style orange shag rug. The orange colored carpet was a nice touch that really helped me to sell the whole illusion in my mind, and to this day I have to wonder if the main factor behind my parents' decision to buy a carpet that resembled a bed of blazing fury was just to aid me in my imagination world. Probably not, but somehow it really seemed to help sell the fantasy. I don't really play this game much anymore, and of course I'm using the term really very much very loosely. But if and when I do, it's an Ataxia modified version, in which as such I don't so much as leap from rock to rock anymore, but I'd rather just kind of stand in one place with my walker and I scream for help. Through the growing up years, my imagination served me very well, and it helped me to end the boredom while engaging in the chores that were assigned to me by my parents. Raking the leaves in the fall or the grass in the summer because it became instead a call to gather in and bring all the leaves and the blades of grass that were scattered throughout the kingdom of the front yard or the distant villages of the sides and the backyard. These gatherings would all come together in a centralized place to form several piles, or as I like to think of them, several large armies. I would then walk from pile to pile with a transport vehicle, better known as a wheelbarrow, and haul them all to one big pile, or the training camp, as I like to refer to it. I also called on to perform household chores, and sometimes when I would vacuum the house for my mom, I would imagine that there were little people living down in the carpet, and that they were trying not to get entrapped by the large suction storm that had suddenly, and without any warning, descended upon them. School was also a very fertile place for my imagination. I remember thinking when I studied a world map in grade school that if I would just place a finger on my exact location, a rather large and somewhat pudgy finger would descend out of the clouds and squish me. I also loved to read when I was growing up, but I would very often find that it was hard for me to read my school books. So to get through my school books and learn the things that I needed to know, occasionally I would fancy myself as a secret agent. As such, I was in desperate need of finding a very important hidden code that was dispersed throughout the chapter that my assigned reading for the week. And I would actually have to read all the pages word for word to find out what that secret was. Hey, if it turned out that I just so happened to absorb the other information that was in that chapter while I was in pursuit of a code that would save all mankind and make me a hero, I would consider this to be a perk of the job, one that could only serve me well in the future to make a more well-rounded agent. Well, how does all this vivid imagination currently work in my life as pertaining to my ataxia? Wow, that is a very astute question, and I thank you so much for asking it. I will attempt to answer. Lately, I've begun to envision that there is a highly contagious and a rampant neurological disease spreading around the globe that has been tagged as the upright bug. Symptoms manifested by the infected are perfect speech, clear balance, perfect, the ability to eat without spilling or choking. There are several different manifestations and groups that are resistant to the virus, and these people have become known as handicapped or uniquely gifted. One of these groups or communities has a resistance that is come to be known as spinocerebellar ataxia. Very little is known about these people's highly impressive ability to fight off the upright bug, except for an MRI that is undergone by people within this group, which is also known to show a highly significant smaller cerebellum. But don't let that influence you because these people are shown to have very high brain function and intelligence. I couldn't help but throw that one in. The general population that is infected by this devastating upright bug have lately become jealous of the unique or the handicapped people, and in an attempt to selfishly identify with this group, a few of the affected have begun to park their cars in spaces that are clearly marked for the unique people. Some of the affected have also discovered that it is possible to achieve a temporary handicapped lifestyle through the consumption of alcohol, but it always seems to sink lower into a jealous despair when they sober up and realize all over again that their handicap was only for a fleeting moment. In fact, in an effort to cheapen the purely handicapped lifestyle and make themselves feel equal, the affected have begun to accuse those that are legitimately unique and resistant to the devastating upright bug of drinking and only pretending to be affected on a permanent basis. So do you see, it's really just the way that you choose to look at it. Don't let yourself be defined by someone else's misinterpretation of your unique handicap. Don't imagine yourself to be less than, but envision greater things. And at least we can say that we don't have the upright bug